Hello and happy Halloween, everyone. It's a great day. Obviously, I'm in costume. This is Mr. Boomstick XL, and I'm saving the frontier in Titanfall. Of course, with me today, who he says is not the best day of the year in because he's scared most of the time, is my co-host with the most, Zemi Games. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, dude, today is a terrible day. It's Halloween. Everybody's
Happy Halloween, guys.
everyone's gonna be walking around in those scary costumes trying to scare me. It's bad. It's a terrible day. But no, I am excited. Just a ton of news for us to jump into. A lot of great topics that you set up today. So I can't wait to dive in.
Well, I mean, listen. First of all, I wanted to have a little fun and throw on my favorite collectible, being, of course, the Titanfall 2 helmet. Which I got news for you, folks. You can't breathe in this thing for more than 5 minutes, otherwise you're dying. But Zemi, first of all, I want to thank you for being here. Now, I know that a lot of people may be asking, "Hey, man, where the heck is the Welsh Gamer?" Well, the Welsh Gamer, obviously today's Halloween, and in London, it's a 5-hour difference. So right now it's 5 p.m., and he's with his missus and, of course, his little one taking him trick-or-treating. So he will be back in his chair next week, so don't worry about that. But Zemi, we are going to open up the show with something I think that you were super excited to play. And of course, I had put in the title of today's show. We're going to be talking about the Outer Worlds. And I got to tell you, man, my God, I would easily say, last week prior to playing this game, that Fallout New Vegas is probably my favorite game. Not only my favorite Fallouts, but my favorite game from Obsidian. And, playing this game, I'm 25 plus hours in. I just crossed level 25. I'm almost maxed out all my stats. And I just find this game to be one of the best games, in my opinion, released in 2019. What are your thoughts on that so far, dude?
I really like it. I mean, like I think we've talked about it, the Outer Worlds a couple of times. I was super excited to get into it. Obsidian is one of my favorite studios, and they definitely have not let me down on this title. Like it is everything I thought it would be. The game, of course, is not perfect, but I didn't expect it to be perfect. There are, a few, little quirks here and there. But for what Obsidian did do, it speaks volume that they are still as good of a game studio, especially whenever it comes to RPGs. The gameplay is absolutely fantastic. Super. It's shocking how much it's like Fallout. It really is. I love the characters. I love the quirky corporation plot line, and how everybody is following different corporations, and it's different factions, and just the dialogue and the comedy is just absolutely addictive.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. The writing, the one thing that you can almost guarantee when it comes to a quality game from Obsidian is you're going to get incredible story. You're going to get incredible NPC banter. I'm not sure if you go somewhere, you can actually hear your teammates talking. And I kind of just want to touch on that for a second because, and I have been tweeting like crazy. I've been tweeting pictures. I've been tweeting, a couple of little gameplay videos. And my opinion on this is super, super high. But I like to compare this game to 3 games that immediately come to mind. Of course, the 2 are very simple, and that's going to be Fallout 4 and, of course, Fallout New Vegas. But the third game, I've heard other people say, and I know I was one of the first people to jump on this, the game feels and plays a lot like Mass Effect. I have to tell you, the character stories, the missions that you can pick up per character, very similar to what you used to, what you did, loyalty missions in Mass Effect, right? If they have a problem, you handle it. It is so intriguing to me that you can have these characters that you actually learn to care about. But see, I think that's what they do so well in this game is that when one of your teammates is on the ship and he says, "Hey, my name is Craig Savage in the game," and they say, "Hey, Craig, do you have a minute?" And I'm like, sure, Cap. They'll say, hey, Cap, you got a minute? And you talk to them, and you start to get the pieces of their background. And, when they're out there, I mean, obviously, it's not like Mass Effect that you're going to, well, at least I hope it doesn't, because I haven't gotten to the end that someone is going to die. I'd be devastated if one of my favorite characters actually got killed. But it's astonishing how amazing this game is. Real quick before I forget, and I have to thank him, who's always in here, Sin Vendetta. First of all, dude, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate to see you in the chat. But your generosity never ceases to amaze me. He drops an incredible $5 super chat, and he says, where does the Outer Worlds stand on your guys' games of 2019? I am happy to report, my friend, that it is currently number 3. And my top 3 games so far of 2019: Resident Evil 2, Gears 5, and The Outer Worlds. And I got a funny feeling, I really think that my number 1 is going to stay Resident Evil, only because of my fanboyism. I am such a Resident Evil fan, and what they did with that game is amazing. But my God, as great as Gears is, as great at a time, I played through it twice, and I loved every minute of it. I found almost every collectible. This Outer Worlds is just, I can't stop. I mean, I've actually gone to sleep and had dreams of the Outer Worlds, folks. This is how crazily addicted I am to this game. Zemi, I've been going on for like 5 minutes, and listen, I do have a co-host, and I have to let you talk, but I want to know, for you, I mean, obviously, this checks off a lot of your boxes for what you were expecting. But here is my question. What is the standout for you in the Outer Worlds?
Honestly, I think it's just the creativeness of it. You know what I mean? Because I've played a lot. Like, I'm a absolutely huge Elder Scrolls fan, huge Fallout fan. Love those types of RPGs, the first person, really, really hardcore like RPGs. But and I'm a fan of Mass Effect as well. But this is like the first game studio to do something like this, like do a Fallout or like an Elder Scrolls-esque title, but make it a futuristic title and have everything come together so well. The game isn't fully open world; it is a hub world, but it works fantastically, just like it, just like how it did in Mass Effect in the Mass Effect games. So that's probably my favorite aspect of it, is just the overall creativeness and how they piece everything together. They make it feel like it's a game series I've always played before. You know what I mean? Coming from playing Elder Scrolls and playing Fallout, it feels so relatable to me. Like I've played Outer Worlds, 1 and 2 and 3 before this game. And the storytelling, I absolutely love the quirkiness of the storytelling, and you know me, I'm a huge fan of just story in games. Like, that is probably one of the biggest motivating factor for me, and just that, and the writing that goes into it is just, I really like that. And some games, they do comedy, but this game does like a witty version of the comedy. They don't just throw in memes or just like fart jokes or something like that. They actually have substance in their comedy. And I don't want to spoil anything. This isn't a spoiler, but I was talking to this one person in the game. I'm sure you've probably done this quest as well. This one person, he was eating these little tiny rats that run around everywhere. Yeah. And I asked him, I was like, hey, what does that taste like? I believe it was that. I was like, hey, what does that taste like or something? And he was like, yeah, well, it tastes like the north side of a southbound woolly cow. And I would just sit there, like, it literally took me like a minute and a half. And I'm kind of embarrassed to say that, but I was like really seriously thinking about that. And I was like, oh, the woolly cow's, rear end. Okay. Okay. And it was funny, but that's probably one of my favorite aspects of the game. It's just how well crafted it is, how relatable it seems, and the storytelling, the writing, and the comedy.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Of course, we both said it. The writing is unbelievable, and I will say this. Again, now this doesn't work for everyone. If you're a person that just wants to go out and shoot things, the game could potentially be for you as well, because you can end everything in violence. There's no doubt about it. You can just be a real MF and just kill the hell out of everybody. But if, like, for instance, like you, I really get myself involved in the story. And I want to know, I mean, like, I go to everyone I can talk to. Like, you're walking through a town, there's 30 people there. Now, there's most NPCs are just going to get like a little, bunch of words, and they say, "Hey, partner, welcome to wherever," and they're going to keep moving. But if you're looking for it, you'll find that hidden conversation, or that person looking for a mission, or like he lost his his grandfather lost his leg and it was important to him. Could you go find it? There are silly things like that to do, and it's just I cannot. I'm always excited to look around the next corner. Like, I go into a room and I really just am always looking for something. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, some of the things that, like the stealing, like I won't steal. Like I try not to steal. Now, in the beginning, in the beginning part of the game, Zemi, I didn't steal anything. And there came a point where I kind of needed like bullets and stuff. I was running out and I'm like, maybe if I went around the corner, they're not going to notice these bulls. They're not going to attack me. So I would save the game to make sure that, and that's the thing. I love being able to save anywhere. I think that is key, because, and I save every 5 minutes, especially when I find stuff. What are your thoughts on the weapons and the armor and stuff? How you can actually adapt that not only to yourself, making it a true RPG, but your teammates.
Yeah, so I definitely enjoy how I can, customize my companions' loadouts and everything like that. I haven't really done that too much. I have played with it a little bit. I do like how you can upgrade your weapons and upgrade your armor. I wish that there was a little bit more substance with it, because it does seem a little bit basic. But I do like that. Another thing that was actually kind of bothering me a little bit is I found like this awesome futuristic space armor that just made me look I don't know. I really like the armor, right? But it was like yellow. It was like a bright yellow color.
You wish you could change the color?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Like, there's minor little things about the weapons and armors that I kind of wish that they would have tweaked a little bit. And then I haven't played around so much with the weapon mods. I have a little bit, but I kind of wish that it was a little bit more in depth on changing your weapons and stuff like that. That might just be, like I'm just kind of craving how Fallout 4's weapon system was. But overall, I think that the gunplay is really, really good. Probably a little bit better than Fallout 4's gunplay was.
Yes, I would agree. Yes,
are absolutely incredibly fun to use. I love the plasma weapons, how it incinerates people,
and they're just a pile of dust. I love it.
Yeah, I love like the shock weapons, how like those are best towards like the auto mechanicals or whatever.
Yes.
And then of course they have like the regular like kinetic bullets, and I really like the whole design of like different ammunition types for different enemies. But probably one of my favorite things just in general with like the combat and like the weapons is there is a achievement in this game. And I don't know if you have seen it. I don't know how much of like an achievement hunter you are, but the achievement is to shoot 30 people in the groin, 30 characters in the groin, while in like time dilation, which is like you slowing down.
Dude, I'm going to get that. I'm an achievement hunter.
That's so hard right now, which that's just another thing that just like blew me up in laughter whenever I seen that. And I automatically started going around time dilating and shooting everyone in the nuts. It was great.
Freaking hilarious.
It was great.
That's I didn't even know that. There's one where I think you got to use plasma weapons to turn 30 people into dust. I'm working on that achievement as we speak.
It's 100.
Is it 100? Okay.
It's 100. But no, well, so you know what's even better though is whenever you shoot someone in the groin, like they drop down and they cover up their their area, and like they just like go into complete pain mode. Like you hit them really in a bad spot.
Yeah, obviously the groin for a guy is terrible. So that would be bad. But for me, I really enjoy like the flamethrower. The only thing that I would love to add, I know that there's a grenade launcher, and I actually have that in my arsenal that I use. There are no grenades. I was actually a little surprised about that, where there's no throwing weapons, which is a little odd for a first-person shooter. Like I said, I mean, there are some little tweaks that when the sequel to this game comes out, which of course it's going to be an exclusive, and we heard that confirmed not only from Matt Booty, but we've heard that from Aaron Greenberg as well, that this is a franchise they're going to be working on. It's funny. I was listening to RDX this week, which was an amazing show, and I'm not sure who said it, but it seems as if Obsidian is setting themselves up really well here. We know that obviously this is right now it's a multiplat and it's doing well. I mean, obviously the Metacritic scores are fantastic. We're all over 85, which is great. And this game deserves it. There's no doubt about that. But we've talked about this in the past, Emmy, where this wasn't the game why Phil Spencer visited Obsidian and bought them, decided to say, yeah, we got to add them to the first party. It's the game they're currently working on that we have no idea, no name. We know it's an RPG. We don't know what kind of an RPG it is. And if that, I mean, obviously their record of achievement is spotless, right? I mean, they just make good games. So you get the Outer Worlds, right? You get this whatever game that they're going to be coming out with. They're currently hard at work right now. And then you're going to get the Outer Worlds too. I mean, that's just back to back goodness by Obsidian. And I got to tell you, man, playing this game, and I get it. Some people say, like we have like little things that we want, tweaks here and there. But for the most part, Zemi, this is a high quality AAA game that you and I got in Game Pass. I don't think people kind of talk about that. And we're gonna segue in a second into that. But before we do, I got to thank, first of all, Foreign Object. Now, first of all, I love the name because that brings me back to the old WWF days back in the 80s, when they had foreign objects. And like if you were a fan of Roddy Piper, he always kept something in his kilt, right? So there was always a brass knuckle or something there. He drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat. And he says, loving out the Outer Worlds in all caps. Can't wait to get off work. Boom. Your content is the best and your passion is genuine and much appreciated. Hats off to you, sir. No, hats off to you, dude. First of all, thanks so much for being here. I would not have a show if it wasn't for this community. I want everyone to know that. And I do appreciate the super chat. And of course, thank you so much for that as well. Zemi, I mean, before we move on and we segue into some more Outer Worlds information, is there anything, well, before we actually do that, because I actually said we were going to review it, and even though we're nobody according to the IGNs and the Kotakus and places in the game spots like that, I think our review still counts, and people in the chat might want to know what we personally think about it. So I'm going to let you go first. If you were sent a copy for this and you were actually doing a review for your channel, what would you give the Outer Worlds? How impressed or not are you of Obsidian's latest RPG modern day masterpiece?
Well, to be honest with you, I really do not like anymore. Like I try to get away from like actually rating a game, but if I was going to, I would probably say like an 8. It's probably what I would give it.
Okay. All right. That's I mean, that's a fair enough score. See, I'm going to go a little higher here because I think that the game not only has impressed me, I think the game is going to have a tremendous amount of lasting appeal because there is, even though it's a semi-open world type of title, I still think that there's a lot to do. And I don't necessarily know what the end game is going to be for this. I mean, are we going to get DLC? I don't know. I don't recall ever reading about that, but I would like to believe that they would actually continue the story in some fashion, very, very similar to what was done with the Fallout games. Even though the Fallout 4 wasn't made by them, I would like to see a lot of the formulas are the same. Oh, before I give my review, wow, I have to thank G-Man 209 with the unbelievably generous $25 super chat. He says, thank you for smart common sense conversation. I'm not vocal, but I enjoy listening to the content. Well, first of all, dude, that $25 super chat is holy mo. I'm like speechless. Thank you for that ridiculous an outrageous generosity. And I got to be honest with you, as great as that is, your second statement to me as a content creator is even more important. The fact that you're enjoying the content warms my freaking heart. I mean, really, truly, truly. And that's why I go out of my way to greet everyone in this chat, every chat. I really, truly try to get to say hello to everyone. And when you write a comment, I actually answer everyone, because I think that you have to do that, because people don't have to listen to your content. And if they're enjoying it and they're telling you that, it's the proper manner to say thank you. So thank you for that outrageous super chat, but also the nice comment, dude. I'm really excited that you're enjoying it, that everyone is here. We got almost 100 people already, and the show just started, and that's unbelievable. But so for me personally, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Taking a point off for some little things that I want fixed in a future sequel. I'm going to give it a really solid 9. I think that this, without even trying to go on a stretch here, folks, without sounding like a fanboy or anything, this is probably by far one of the best RPGs released in 2019. Now, some people may argue with me and say that the Three Houses on the Nintendo Switch are better. And I didn't play that, and that I really am not a big fan of that series, so I don't think I'm going to get it. But in regards to RPGs that have been released in 2019, I think by leaps and bounds, this is going to be in the talks for Game of the Year. And if it doesn't win, it's going to be a travesty of justice. But you know what, Zemi? I kind of want to segue into the critical and commercial success of The Outer Worlds and what it means not only for Microsoft's first-party studios, but what exactly this means for Xbox Game Pass moving forward. Now, I bring this up for several reasons. One, there's been a running narrative that sickens me, to be honest, that the Xbox game studios were only making fodder to fill up Game Pass. It's a notion that I personally have pushed back on since I was starting my show. And I've spoken about it many times. And I think that I've seen this from many other content creators, which, of course, on this show, we don't name names. It's just something I like to respect everyone's opinion. I don't agree with it. And I certainly don't like the clickbait shit. I'm not a fan of that. But, it's funny because I found it, Zemi, laughable then. And when I'm seeing these titles and when I'm seeing these people just going for clicks, I find it to be almost embarrassing. And I'm actually embarrassed for them that they don't take pride in the work that they do for the community that supports them, that they're just looking for clicks. And I think that's crummy. But in an effort to convince the Xbox faithful that Microsoft was serious about the service, they announced that Gears 5, which was just last month, the Ultimate Edition OPS, by the way, would be in Game Pass day one. Now, while other consoles currently have to pay $65.01 with tax for a copy of The Outer Worlds, gamers across the globe who are able to play at midnight, Zemi, in their region, got it right from Game Pass. And this back-to-back huge titles in the last 2 months have come along with some incredible additions that they've already stacked that service. I mean, it's 200 plus games. Now, Zemi, this leads me actually to the meat and potatoes of, or potatoes, whichever you want. Probably my, taters.
That's what we say down here in Kentucky.
So there you go. It's taters, okay? Of this originally written topic, my question is, what does the future hold for Xbox Game Pass with the 15 plus Xbox first party studios when they start cranking out hit after hit after hit? And I say, I say plus because right now it's 15, but I still think that there are going to be 2 studio announcements at XO19, which is only 2 weeks away. Now, I'll say this, the future is very bright, but the second and third party developers will see a huge advantage on the numbers, the mass numbers that people are going to be subscribing to Game Pass. But I kind of want to just kind of bring it back around to the question, what do you think that this says for people that have been waiting have been looking at Game Pass and like, I'm a little nervous about the subscription service because I already have so many. And then they see games like Forza Horizon 4. You see games like Crackdown 3. Now, regardless of whether you think about it or not, I think it's dope, that game. I love it. You get games like Gears 5 Ultimate. You get games like The Outer Worlds, a AAA RPG experience. What do you think that this says to the people who, two questions, Azemi. One, didn't jump in on the Xbox and now considering it because of the service and because of the quality of games that are starting to hit it. But secondly, the people who already have an Xbox and like, I don't know about another service, but this is too good to pass on. What are your thoughts on the success of The Outer Worlds and what that means for the future of Game Pass?
Well, I think to start off, for anyone that does not own an Xbox, let's say they switched over to PlayStation and they're just not fortunate enough to, have an Xbox right now, they can't afford it or whatever. I think that this is a big moment to just like show off why I think xCloud is going to be such a huge thing. Because I definitely think that xCloud is going to incorporate Game Pass, and it's going to be another way to push Game Pass out to even more consumers. But back to like the main question of, what this means. I think every single time that they release a major hit like this, it is just piling on to a huge stack of just another reason why you should get this service. Money is hard to come by. That, I know this, and $60 for a game is, somewhat pricey depending on how much money you get. And just the ability to pay $10 a month to have access to that brand new $60 game, and then another $60 game that came out 2 months, previously, and then over 200 other titles. It's almost like a no-brainer. It's, if you haven't, hit the bell yet, if you haven't, jumped on to Xbox Game Pass, what exactly are you waiting for at this moment in time? And, and what's funny about this is I kind of think that we're in somewhat of a dry spell. And the reason I say that is because, this is, it's closing in on, towards the end of the console generation.
Yep.
We haven't, gotten that many really big exclusives since Game Pass, since Xbox announced that all first party games are going to be coming to Game Pass day and date. And they have, just a year ago, 2018, I believe, bought a crap ton of studios. So, whenever these studios really start ramping up and pumping out all of these different games, I think, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself at that moment. You know what I mean? Because I'm happy now. I'm happy with the Outer Worlds and Gears of War, and I'm happy to know that I'm not going to have to pay for Fable whenever that comes out, and Halo Infinite this holiday. But whenever
Gears Tactics, you won't have to pay for it.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is just, dude, you're really nailing down. And I love your question as to your hypothetical question as to how come you haven't signed up yet. I mean, it's the service that keeps giving and giving and giving. Something, you brought up a really good point. You said something to the effect that I want to come back around and touch on. Before I do, first of all, Thanaros in the chat, thanks for being here, dude. I really appreciate it. He drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, how some people believe they are just going to make fodder. No business, especially ones with a huge reputation, can survive offering subpar content. Yeah, dude, absolutely. I mean, everyone likes to compare this. Oh, first of all, I was Philly Eagle. Thanks for being here, dude. And he drops a $5 super chat. He says, Game Pass is for me, my kids, and my pockets. That's a great point. Doesn't matter what anyone's opinion is about the, oh yes, I love this. Hashtag no pocket watching. Hashtag fun. Hashtag to each their own. First of all, thanks for the super chat, and I love the hashtags. But Zemi, you said something important. They have 15 studios. Now, we know Microsoft has said they want to bring out AAA experiences almost every month. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that you're gonna get 12 AAA games from Microsoft a year. It's literally impossible to do unless they have 30 first-party studios, and they're not gonna have that many. But when you think about all of the trips that he has done for Japan and the focus on the other markets that they have failed in, there's a good chance that we could possibly see some second party deals like we saw in the 360 era and come over to the Xbox as exclusive. Now, timed, it doesn't matter. But if they do come over, there's a good chance that they can use Game Pass as to say, hey, listen, look at the numbers, because Microsoft is going to pay them a bunch of money for said title. And that title is going to make money on the back end for them. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody. But when you think about what you just said, once these studios start getting into the flow, and they have maybe, because remember the rumor floating across the internet that Klobrille has brought up, our good friend Klobrille, who is an Xbox insider, even though he doesn't believe he is, 20 by 2020, right? 20 first party studios by 2020. And I think that's going to happen. And I think we're going to get 2 more added at XO. But what are your thoughts on the potential of possibly getting a AAA experience once every 2 to 3 months, and including second party deals in there with Game Pass? That's new content. Your backlog is going to be 3 times the size.
Yeah, I think there might come a point where there's too many games coming out. I can't play them all. You know what I mean? Which is fine. Which I don't think Game Pass is necessarily trying to push out the idea of every game is going to be for every person. I think that they're really going with variety. You know what I mean? And I think that's a big reason why they, acquired, Obsidian, and then, they acquired Ninja Theory. They acquired a lot of different studios that do a lot of different genres of games, is because they want a huge variety on there. And, they might acquire, a studio that does only 2D platformers, right? I'm not really into that, but there are a lot of gamers that are into that.
That's definitely up my alley for sure.
Yeah, and as far as the question goes, with like a 3 or a AAA game every 3 months, it doesn't even need to be a AAA. I don't even care if it's AAA. We've heard a lot of people arguing and bickering about AAA, AA, Ninja Theory, all this different stuff, right? I don't care if it's AAA, AA, single A, negative A, whatever, all the A's. I don't care about that. What I care about is if the game is good, right? Because there's a ton of AAA games that come out every single year that suck. And there's a lot of I guess AA games that come out and they're absolutely fantastic. I do think that we will see definitely a new first party game come out every 3 months. With 15 studios
for a year sounds, dude, that would be epic. Yeah, that would be
awesome, regardless of their size, whether it's a AAA, a AA. So long as it is a good game, I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to continue to subscribe to the service.
Well, yeah, right. Like currently, right now, I'm paid up until I think October of 2022. So I got. So I'm invested, folks. I'm invested. I go crazy on these sales. I'm sorry, man. When you can double and triple dip for half price, you got to jump on board, especially when you're on a budget. Which is,
Well, let me just jump in here again as well. Is like, I pay monthly, right? Like, so I don't have a huge, backlog of time, backed up. I pay monthly, but I get, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So I also play it on PC. And surprisingly enough, I actually play it a lot more on PC than what I would have thought. And, I'm also really excited to see what they bring to PC, because I know this is an Xbox show. But the PC side of Game Pass is absolutely amazing as well.
Yes.
And I definitely, I would really be interested to see, what their plans are for that as things evolve.
That's a great point. It's funny. I see it. First of all, the chat's going back and forth, and of course, being awesome as always. And Chief Nagel says something really, really important. Not all $60 games are good. That's a great point. Point. I've spent my fair share of duds. I try not to. Like, if I'm not sure about a game, I'll definitely do some research before getting it. But for the most part, that's the thing I really enjoy about Game Pass, Emmy, because we've heard that, and again, this is you've heard that 40% more games are being played by gamers who would normally not play them because they're in Game Pass. That happens to me more often than not, because sure, everyone knows what a AAA game is or AA game, right? Because everyone's talking about it, so you're probably going to play it or you want to get involved. But there are a lot of smaller games that you might pass on simply because you didn't know it wasn't in your wheelhouse or not something that you thought that you might like. You know how many people were not racing fans, played Forza in Game Pass, like, wait a second, I can't believe I missed the series.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy amounts of people. So it does. But I kind of just want to throw this out there, just going to the imagination bubble. Just imagine, Zemi, that we're going to be getting next gen titles day and date from 343 Industries, Ninja Theory, In Exile, The Initiative, Compulsion Games, Double Fine Productions, Playground Games, Rare Studios, and a new RPG IP from Obsidian. If you can't get hyped for this kind of a lineup that's going to be coming in the next couple of years, I got to be honest with you. I think you should seriously consider stop playing games, because maybe this hobby isn't for you. Or maybe the brand isn't for you. I don't know. But everyone will make their way back to the Xbox brand, I think, eventually. Now, I'm not saying that all gamers are going to be abandoning their PlayStation 4s, because it's not going to happen. I think that what you're going to start seeing is, like, for instance, I own a PlayStation 4, and I'm very proud that I do. I buy only first-party games on that. I think that there's a good shot that the next generation, both consoles are going to be monsters. And I think that people that are heavily invested in the Sony ecosystem are not going to abandon Sony. They're going to probably get a PlayStation 5, at least a hardcore. But I also believe that those same hardcore players, and I'm not talking about the extremists. I'm not talking about the ones that if you even mention Xbox, they turn red in the face. I'm not talking about those folks. I'm talking about gamers at the end of the day. I think you're going to see more people wanting to get over to the Xbox side, because as it currently stands, we're hearing from different sources. I mean, all you have to do is listen to Dealer, and he brings facts that we're hearing that the Xbox Scarlet is going to be slightly more powerful than the PS5. Now, is that confirmed? No, it's speculation at this point. But what if it is? What if the Scarlet is more powerful than the PlayStation 5, and they have the power? Right? That, of course, the running joke is going to be, well, we have games and you don't. Xbox has no games. Well, I think we're proven that they're going to have a lot of games, as a matter of fact. And some of those folks that are not extremists are going to be like, you know what? I can get an Xbox and for X amount of dollars, whatever it's going to be, and I don't have to run out to the store and spend $180 plus tax on 3 games that I want to play, because all their first party stuff is going to be in Xbox Game Pass. So it is a win for the new Xbox owner or the new Xbox Scarlet owner, because they don't have to buy these games. They just have to do Game Pass. And at $15 a month, Zemi, I mean, you can't beat that. What are your thoughts on that statement?
I mean, I think it's true, like 110%. And, once again, I know I've already kind of somewhat touched on this, but, like you were saying, new generations coming out, maybe people won't buy a PlayStation. Well, even if they do, streaming, I mean, and as of right now, xCloud is, seems to only be available on like tablets and phones and stuff. But I bet you eventually, xCloud will be available on other devices, maybe a smart TV, maybe like the Xbox original, not the original console. That would be weird. Like the Xbox One console, or other devices as well. So they may not even actually have to purchase an Xbox to be able to play. But yes, I agree with you. And this is I think Xbox's main power play is to allow players to come in, pay a low monthly price, and play whatever they want, however much they want. And I mean, I wish I would have thought about it. I wish I worked at Xbox and I came up with this idea. I'd hopefully got a raise. Boom, you there?
Yeah, sorry about that. I happened to just mute you for a second, because there was a fire truck going by. We don't want to. I mean, the show is hot and on fire, but we don't want them here. I'm going to say this. Gaming as a whole, regardless of what flag you fly, whether it's all three like myself, whether it's the Xbox like you know what you currently do, there's room for everybody. And of course, nobody wants to see one company fail. I think that if you are saying that, then you just don't understand what you're talking about. Obviously you could be a Sony fan. You say, you know what, think about this for a second. Do you know why Phil Spencer made all the moves he did in 2018 when he started turning the ship around? It's because Sony was killing it. Don't think for a second that they look at the numbers and say, holy shit, they sold 15 million copies of Spider-Man. They sold 12, 15 million copies of God of War. That's 30 million copies of two franchises. We want to be in that conversation. So Sony doing well has forced Microsoft to do better, right? And if the next generation starts, which it's going to next year, and somehow or another, Microsoft starts doing better than Sony, hopefully their fans will demand better. We want more, Sony. We're not just going to sit here and take it. Look at what Microsoft is doing. We want that too. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to take their foot off the gas personally, but you just never know, right? I mean, some people have called, some of the moves that they've made recently, the arrogant Sony making its return. Is it the arrogant Sony from the PlayStation 3? Well, shit, I hope not. But again, that's a horse of another color, and certainly we can, so you can spend 5 hours on that. But I think that it needs to be said, even though we've said it numerous times, and I think the chat has said it numerous times. When Phil Spencer started making these investment moves into the future of the brand, he was called tons of names by the vocal majority of Xbox haters and, of course, Xbox gamers who abandoned the brand. And both of the studio acquisitions, all of the studio acquisitions and Game Pass service are not only working in tandem, Zemi, but they have proven to be ultra profitable. And that's something, a lot of people, like some people just, they don't care about the business end. And for the most part, as gamers, right? I mean, that's like the least thing that's, for
That's
us,
the boring thing. Like, nobody wants to hear about it.
Right. It's boring, but as content creators who have to troll the news and have stuff that, first of all, we have to bring the people back, right? I mean, they're not going to just listen to Boom sing, right? Because I'm a terrible singer. But if they have good news, they're going to come back, hopefully. And so we have to be concerned about that. And I think it cannot be understated, how much money Xbox Game Pass is actually making for Microsoft. As a matter of fact, it's one of the reasons why they're in the top 10 electronic companies. And in that list, of course, Sony's there, Nintendo's there, but Microsoft is there on the backs of Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Live. That's services, folks. Now, when they start cranking out the games, Emmy, well, it's going to be a lot of fun for Xbox, for the Xbox community, something that we've been waiting for. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I haven't had fun with my Xbox One X. I have a blast. I have almost 1,000 games. So the old the Xbox has no games mantra. Listen, I'm here to tell you wrong, because I got almost 1,000 of them. I'm rocking 14 terabytes, and it's almost full. I have to figure out which one I'm getting rid of to get another 8, so I can move it up to 20. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I do download a lot of games. There's no doubt about it. Now, and my gamer score. Listen, I'm closing in on 250,000. I'm hopefully, no, is it 250? No, it's 260. I'm like 260 something. Oh my god, I lost track. Yeah, 260 something, I think. And I love the achievements. But on closing this out, because we don't want to spend too much here. We have a bunch of other topics to talk about. Do you think that with the moves, and this will be the final question of this topic, and this is for the chat, of course. This is also for Zemi, my co-host of the day. Do you think with the level of investment that not just Microsoft, but Phil Spencer, obviously he's head of Microsoft, he's head of Xbox, and he sits on the right hand side of Satya Nadella, who listens to everything he needs to, and he trusts Phil, obviously. Do you think with all the moves, the 15 plus studios, xCloud, the power of this Xbox Scarlet, the Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Live being as good as it is, Do you think that there's a good shot that they could retain the market leader spot that they had during the 360 days, or at least be running neck and neck with Sony in the next generation?
Like, are you asking like number of consoles sold, or just like
no, I'm just saying in
profitability of
regards
the
to
company?
I mean, consoles sold, folks. Listen, I mean that's a very muddy water, because
Yeah.
console sales don't equate funds anymore. This is not the Super Nintendo days where console sales ruled all. It's a different market, and so people want to keep running with that narrative. And I hear you. I'm not going to argue with you. If that's what you want to the hill you want to die on, then so be it. But console sales are just not it's just not relevant in 2019, simply because the profit margin per console sold is not what you think it is. Sony isn't making $100 on every PS4 they sell, folks. That's not true. They might be making $30. They might be making $45, but they're not making $100. And even 45 might be high. So what I'm talking about is just in regards to overall what Sony has done in this generation. It looks like Microsoft has turned the ship around and will be doing more than what they were doing in this generation. Of course, I mean, listen, regardless of what, they all play nice and they're all friends and everything. But at the end of the day, Phil Spencer wants to win, right? I mean, that's it. So, I mean, listen, it goes, and I'm going to bring up sports for a second. Right? When my brother was on the other football team, right? When little Boomstick was carrying the ball and going up against Neo Mental, who knocked me so hard, my stuff flew out of my pockets. All right. Now, do you think I don't want to beat my brother? Do you think my brother didn't want to tackle me down, knock the stuff out of my pocket? Of course he did. So even though that they say we want to see Sony do well, Microsoft wants to beat Sony. There's no doubt about it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Microsoft is hungry. You know what I mean? They've had a not so good this generation. The PR disaster in 2013 severely hurt them. I mean, I don't think it could have been much worse for Xbox at the very beginning of this generation. And Phil Spencer has been lying in waiting, growing his platform up, putting all the puzzle pieces in the correct order. And I think that they're about ready to strike out. And as far as who's going to win, who's going to be the market leader, I think that is a tough thing to say. I think Xbox 100% has the capability and the technology and is in a absolutely fantastic position to claim that. But at the same time, I'll think a lot of it just kind of depends on what Sony does as well. Will Sony adopt like the Game Pass I guess.
Oh my God, I hope
ideology for PlayStation Now, because if they do, that's going to be that's not going to fall in Microsoft's favor, right? But as it is right now, I think that they are definitely putting themselves in the position to be the market leader, to be the more profitable company. Just how it is currently right now, I think that they are putting themselves in that position. I think it's too soon to say 100%. If I think that they would or if they would not, because a lot of that I think falls down onto Sony. If they're arrogant, if so, how arrogant are they? Are they as arrogant as they were in the PlayStation 3 days? Because if so, Microsoft is probably going to wipe the floor with them. But in general, I think it's too soon to say 100%.
Well, I agree. I mean, obviously we have 12 months. Give or take, right now. So before the next generation, we're hearing Sony in December, which I think would be a big mistake. But maybe they don't. I don't know. December 2020 PS5. If I hear that at E3 and I'm Microsoft, my next console is coming out in September, not November like normal. I'm getting a 3-month advantage. Mm-hmm. I'm hitting the ground running. And like right now, like you think they're gonna wipe the floor with Sony. I think that the start of this generation is going to be slow for Sony. I really, really do. I think that they might be in a bit of trouble. And I'm not saying that. This is not fanboy talk, folks. I'm talking reality here for a second. Okay, because right now, today, we have a good idea of what's coming out for the Xbox Scarlet. We have a confirmation of Halo Infinite. That's big, right? We have almost a basic, basically confirmed Forza Motorsport 8, right? They skipped this year. That's going to be a launch title. I mean, of course. So there's your first-person shooter. There's your car game. Now we're hearing, and we don't know this if this is true or not, could Ninja Theory's game, smaller, double or triple A game, regardless of what, quality game that they have 12 more months to work on, could that be a launch title outside of the Bleeding Edge that's coming out hopefully in early 2020? I don't know. Is there going to be a Killer Instinct 2 proper in that list? God damn it, I hope so. Right? So there's your fighter. There's your there's your third person action adventure game. There's your first person game. The trademark flagship title for Xbox and Halo. And of course, there is your Forza Motorsport 8. There's your racing game. So they have all the genres covered. Now, there could be a couple of second-party deals in there, some small indie games that launch, making it, I don't know, 10, 12 games at launch for the Scarlet. Right now, Sony, what do we know? We don't know anything. We know that The Last of Us 2 got delayed, right? That's May 29th. We know that it's confirmed that Ghost of Tsushima, which we talked on Primetime Gaming, has been delayed. I think that's I think that Sony has moved that title to be a PlayStation 5 launch title, which would be awesome, and I'm buying it day one. But they have no choice. Now, I'd like to think that Horizon Zero Dawn 2, which is, the first one is still one of my favorite games of this generation, would be in that list. And I don't think it's going to be. We haven't heard anything. So we don't know exactly what they're going to do. And unlike this PlayStation 4, where Sony had a couple of their first party games, they laid heavily upon the indie market, which they have completely abandoned. Right? Once their AAA bangers started coming out, they were like, yeah, well, indies, they're all right. They still have a place, but they're in the back of they're in the back of the barn. They're not in the front. Our first party are the lead cows in this farm, right? So I don't know what they're gonna do, but I got a feeling that they're gonna open up next year, the next generation, big, and I cannot wait to be a part of it. Real quick before we move on to the next topic, which is another original content that I wrote up, and I thought it's going to be interesting. A lot of talk there. Foreign Object drops a very generous and an additional $10 super chat. He says Sony will likely sell more consoles next generation of Microsoft, and I believe that's true. However, before the gen is over, there will be more consumers in Xbox ecosystem by far. This is just my thoughts. And hey, listen, that's, first of all, great thoughts. And I think that you're completely right. I think that people are going to be, got to remember, folks, in the Asian markets, basically, Microsoft has not even a footprint, right? This is confirmed facts. They have failed miserably. But of course, in Japan and in China and some of the other Asian regions, gaming on the go is bigger there than console gaming, right? I mean, the Nintendo Switch has outsold the PlayStation 4 in those regions. And that's fact too. So if Microsoft could get the the Project X Cloud running like I think they're going to get it running, people will be able to play on their phones, and all they have to do is subscribe to Xbox Game Pass. And of course, we're hearing that they're currently possibly purchasing or creating an initiative type Japanese studio to be in Japan for that market. So, I mean, either way they go, Zemi, they're looking to go and fix the problems and get into markets that they were never able to do with the console. And because handheld gaming is so big there, and xCloud is the next big thing, they have a good shot at that. Before we move on, what are your thoughts on that, dude?
Yeah, no, I 110% agree. And I think I said this last show. I might have not said it very good, but I think I did say this last show is, whenever a lot of people look at xCloud, whether it be you, me, or, whoever, right? Your average, console consumer, a lot of people look at it like, it's like a second, alternative thing. Like if they are going to the hospital or if they're, going out on a walk and they want to play Xbox for some reason, riding the bus, whatever, they'll play Xbox on their phone. You know what I mean? And that's great. But I think where xCloud is really, really aiming to shine is for individuals who either can't afford or just don't want to afford or buy a $500 console. And that's where it really shines, like over in Japan, where mobile gaming is such a huge thing, is, that is, xCloud is in some ways built, for them specifically in a lot of ways. And I think that that's Xbox's golden plan, or at least one part of it, to getting more consumers on board, on their services, on their subscriptions, and how they're going to make a lot of money. And just another, just the final point to add, I guess kind of closing, this off, is I think a lot, we were talking about, who's going to be the market leader, like you said before, or like, I can't remember his name. He had a super chat. Like he said before, I do think PlayStation is going to lead hardware. I think Xbox is probably going to lead, subscriptions and just overall, profit as a company. But I think what really, really is going to have a huge impact on this is E3 of next year. I think E3 is going to be one of the biggest determining factors on, how quickly Xbox, could possibly take over, or, how strong, Sony's defense might be going into the next generation. I think E3 is going to have a huge thing to deal with that.
No, absolutely.
As we've seen before, E3 can make you or it can break you.
Yes, it certainly can. There's no doubt about it. Listen, it's going to be interesting to see who takes their foot off the gas first. I don't think it's going to be Microsoft, because they're on a roll. And I've said this numerous times, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but there's new people always tuning in. Pre E3 2018, brand was in big trouble. Post E3 2018, brand not so much in trouble anymore, and they're doing the right things. Like I say this about Phil Spencer and his moves. Sometimes he does things that are minute, that are small, that people don't understand. What's the point of it? It's like a jigsaw puzzle. You pour all those pieces out, right? And it doesn't make any sense. You're like, shit, I have to get these corners done so I can at least start putting this thing together. And you start putting the pieces in, and sooner or later, it makes a picture, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's putting these little pieces together to make the end game is going to be what the next gen Xbox is going to be. But real quick, before I get to the next topic, Foreign Object. My God, my friend, you are just unbelievably generous. Thank you so much. He drops an additional $5 super chat. He says, "Boom, do you think MS could cut a deal with Nintendo to stream xCloud to the Switch?" Now, listen, folks. I'm not going to say that couldn't happen. I don't know. It's funny because, there are two camps here, dude. Some people are okay with streaming your Xbox games to your phones and from your or to your computer or your tablet, or maybe even your TV. People get really touchy when you say you could play it on another competitor's box. But I don't know. I mean, there's something that I'm going to bring up a little bit later. Windows Central just dropped some xCloud hardware information, and this device that's coming out, and I'm going to pull it up as soon as I get I get a second, looks exactly like a Nintendo Switch. I mean, the controllers, they look like the controllers, except they just slide apart and your phone goes in the middle. And it looks really dope. Like, I mean, wow, I was completely blown away. So I'll get the name of that device in a second. But, Zemi, I want to go on to the next topic. Mike Ybarra, who was a prominent member of the Xbox community, his departure earlier this month shocked the entire Xbox nation. There's no doubt about it. Some are saying that it might be too big of a loss for Microsoft, and others are saying that it's certainly going to be big shoes to fill for Microsoft, because Mike did everything he wanted to do, from what we understand, at the tech giant known as Xbox, and he's moved on. And we will never really know exactly why. It's certainly not bad blood, I could tell you that. But unlike some other executives that have left other publishers and developers in 2019, and there's been quite a few, there's been a lot of movement. He was very transparent on his move to his words, other adventures. And we just learned that Mike has scored his dream job, working for the historic Blizzard Entertainment, taking on the role of executive vice president and general manager. Now, I'm going to say this, and I think you'll agree with me, Zemi. Blizzard has been in complete disarray for months. Obviously, last year's BlizzCon was a disaster for the company. And I got to be honest with you, and I think you will agree with this as well. They have lost touch with the fanatical fan base, something that I personally believe Mike will not only rectify, but do what many gamers have been asking for, and that's make Blizzard great again. So, keeping with Blizzard, though, Zemi, what I would like to discuss is exactly what Mike Ybarra's hiring could potentially mean to the Xbox platform. So now I'm sure there's people in the chat, but wait a second, Boom. He doesn't work for Microsoft. He doesn't owe them anything. You're right about that. But all his friends there, lots of friends that Mike still has, good friends with of course, everyone at Microsoft. Now, of course, this topic, Zemi, is purely speculative. But because, Ybarra knows how important exclusive content is to a platform, could we see Xbox-only releases in the future? That's the question I'm going to talk about. Now, whether that's timed content or full-on exclusive releases remains to be seen in this scenario, though I do think it was worth discussing on today's show. So here's my two-pronged questions for you, Zemi. Number one, will Mike Ybarra's shoes be too big to fill? Because he was a big personality. Community loved this dude. And he did ruffle some people's feathers, and he would go after people. That's what I loved. He was the bad boy of the Xbox brand, in my opinion. And here's the second question. Could you see his ties to the Xbox brand bring in some big-time exclusive content to the platform, because he knows how important that exclusive content is?
So for the first question, will he be, will they be able to fill his shoes? I think definitely. Microsoft, Xbox is a huge company. They have a lot of talented individuals. It is a huge loss to see him go, because he was such a, phenomenal, part of me wants to say community member. Like he worked at Xbox, so in that sense he wasn't a community member, he was an employee. But in the sense that of how transparent he was, live streaming on Mixer, very transparent with all the fans and everything like that. I think that's going to be a big reason why a lot of people who really paid attention to like the higher up at Xbox are going to possibly miss him. I am super excited that he did get, a job at Blizzard. I know that he's always kind of been more into PC gaming, and he is like a huge fan of like the, Diablo style of games and stuff like that. So it's great to, that he's over there, and hopefully he can, make Blizzard great again. And then for the second question, as far as like, exclusives go, I'm not going to say that it's out of the question. I mean, of course, Mike Ybarra has a lot of networking with, the higher ups at Xbox and stuff like that. And I'm sure he really, really would, want to go out of his way to help Xbox any way that he could, so long as it still, benefits.
Right. Well, it's got to benefit both companies. Absolutely. At the end of the day.
Absolutely. Do I think it's possible? Sure. Do I think it's likely? No. And I really hope it doesn't happen. And the reason being is, whenever PlayStation, they get the exclusive content for Call of Duty, I complain, right? but I don't complain because I'm, a mad Xbox person. I complain because that's just not good for gaming in general.
Well, you're a customer thinking of the bigger picture.
Exactly. I want all consumers to be able to have that content, to be able to have that game. I don't, and obviously this is a super far out there thing. We're speculating.
Right. This is a fun topic. This is completely speculative. Yeah.
But, just for example, Diablo 4 gets announced and it's going to be, on Xbox, 3 months before it becomes on PlayStation or something, right? Or there's going to be exclusive downloadable content that's only available for Xbox. I just don't think that that's right just in general. What I think might possibly come around, and I think this is, very likely, possibly, I think that this is more of like a realistic scenario, is I think that Xbox might be able to get some marketing rights from Blizzard, which would definitely 100% help the company.
I got one better for you. But let me just cut you off there for a second, because first of all, that's great. The marketing rights would be big if they get the marketing rights for Diablo 4, which is rumored to be announced. By the way, BlizzCon is this weekend, and Mike is going to be there. I thought of something more diabolical. Okay. Now, and this could be a reality, folks. This isn't a stretch. What if the next Blizzard title, Overwatch 2 or Diablo 4, what if they strike a deal and get that into Game Pass day and date?
That would be something. That would be awesome. I mean, that would be a huge success for Microsoft, for Xbox and Game Pass. I mean, that would get oh my God, that would be big.
See, that's where the ties come in, because obviously he's the vice president there, right? And he knows he ran Xbox Game Pass.
Yes,
so he knows
how profitable it can be.
Yes,
and he would know how to talk to the high up, his boss. Basically, he would know how exactly to sway someone to wanting to do that.
I mean, listen,
I really like that. That is a really good idea.
That's that. I mean, listen, again, we're going against, this is just our opinion, folks. We're just having a little fun with this, but at the same time, we're bringing some facts here. Okay. He has a great tie with everybody in Xbox. He ran Xbox Game Pass. He knows the numbers. And to be completely fair, even though it's a great game, Diablo 4 is a kind of like a niche kind of a market, right? Not everyone likes that top-down RPG, style. A lot of people don't like that. They want their characters big and up in their face. They don't want their characters small and have to worry about, hacking and slashing. A lot of people don't like that genre. My wife and I, we freaking love it. So, but I mean, again, I didn't have that in the notes because it came to me as I was doing this live on the air that, wow, you know what? What if, they don't have an exclusive, but what if it was like the Outer Worlds and your brand had to pay $65.01, but my brand only has to pay $15 a month. And if you're already paying, you're invested. There you go. Diablo 4 at midnight. Merry Christmas.
That would be huge. I mean, just like a marketing deal would be really, really like a big thing for Xbox, because that's kind of one thing that they failed at a little bit this generation compared to Sony.
Yes.
But just the idea that, once again, speculation 100%, but the idea that Overwatch could go to Game Pass day and date, or maybe a week after its release, and PlayStation, consumers, PC consumers would have to pay $60. I mean, it's like it's like what we've seen with the Outer Worlds. The only difference is that A, it's an established franchise, and B, it's, a relatively huge franchise that's well known, and a lot of people 100% love it. So I think it would be a huge move if that actually came to fruition. That would be huge for Microsoft and Game Pass.
It would be dope. I mean, again, this isn't a huge topic. This was kind of fun, just to have a little fun with it. It was a lot of speculation, some opinion based. Is it going to happen? Probably not, but it was fun nonetheless. And Shishno Elite in the chat says the show that Dealer had Mike Ybarra on RDX. That was a dope show. I listened to actually that show twice. So Dealer got 2 views out of me out of that. If I ever get as big as Mr. RDX himself, I will have Mike Ybarra on this program, folks. I'm working on it. I mean, I had the FanFest guy on here from Microsoft, so I'm working the angles. So maybe we get some of those big time guests like Dealer. I want to move on to the next topic. This one is interesting, and there's a real good question at the end of the day. Former Xbox One exclusive actually runs better on the Nintendo Switch, proving just how amazing the developer is, and that developer is Moon Studios, and I'm talking about Ori and the Blind Forest. There are huge hardware differences from the Xbox One X, of course, to the Switch. I mean, it's leaps and bounds different. But when you have a developer who's not only knows their craft, Zemi, magical things in development can actually happen. And the critically acclaimed 2015 game, Ori and the Blind Forest, which is published by Xbox, recently came to the Nintendo Switch, ending its time as an Xbox One exclusive. And now this is great for everyone involved. Of course, that includes Microsoft, Nintendo, and the developer Moon Studios. This is an Xbox show, but when I thought about this story, I thought it might be interesting. As many have noted, Ori and the Blind Forest is a better experience on the Nintendo Switch. Some people may not even know that, which is something the game director Thomas Mahler recently confirmed, noting that while Ori sprites are animated at 30 frames per second on the Xbox One and PC, they're actually running at 60 FPS on the Nintendo Switch. And according to the director, this is simply due to optimization. Here's what he had to say on the matter. Keep in mind that we have been working with our engine for a good 10 years now and went through multiple releases and a sequel now. Another thing people don't notice immediately is that Ori sprites were animated at 30 FPS on the Xbox One and PC, but for the Switch, we were actually able to update the animations to 60 FPS due to all of the optimizations. So technically, Ori actually even animates a bit smoother on the Switch than the other platforms. Now, again, this is not the biggest topic of today's show, but here's my question to you, to the panel, as well as, of course, the chat. The incredible developer Moon Studio could have easily phoned this in, Zemi, on a port, but they made it better than the original. First of all, what are your thoughts on that accomplishment on the lesser power Nintendo Switch? But here's the second big one. Because of the quality that we've seen in Ori and the Blind Forest, and what we've seen so far in Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which is going to be an incredible game when it releases next year, do you think that it's about high time Phil Spencer get over to that studio with a blank check and add them to their first party?
Yeah, so I was actually going to mention that, but just to kind of start off, how impressive it is. Not only did they port it over, but they actually improved on it. There's doing your job, and then there's going past what is expected of you, and that just shows the amount of care and dedication that they have in their craft and what they put out on the market. They could have easily just made the port, put it 30 frames, and all said and done, made their profit, whatever, right? But they went that extra step, and I think that really speaks volume. And I definitely really think that it would be very, very beneficial for Microsoft to acquire them. Yeah, I think, so long as they would want to get acquired, you know what I mean? But I think it would be a huge fit, especially with what they do and their genre of games, and how beautiful and well crafted Ori and the Blind Forest is, and how amazing Ori and the Will of the Wisps is looking. So yeah, I definitely think that it would be in their benefit to reach out and possibly try to acquire them.
Yeah, listen, obviously their team is small. They're like HDMR, they're like a mom and pop kind of a studio. You know what I'm saying? And it would be pretty incredible if they could get financed. Not because obviously when you become a Microsoft first party studio, the way that they're looking to forward the brand and gain quality content for, of course, the Netflix of gaming known as Xbox Game Pass that we've talked to. We're blue in the face on this particular show. They why not sign Moon Studios? I mean, their track record with Ori is perfect, and obviously Will of the Wisps looks. I mean, we saw what it looked like at E3. I can only imagine what this game, when it's finally ready to launch on Game Pass, is going to look like. It's gonna be one of those games that are going to be in the talks of Game of the Year 2020. Now, obviously, it's probably not going to win with the likes of Halo Infinite.
A lot of big names.
Yeah, it's just so many of them.
Big names.
So it could be in the conversation, but they may have to make like a separate award, like, you know, best animated game, because it's just 2020 is ridiculous. Let's just say that. I think I would love to see them. I'd love to see Asobo. I would love to see MDHR. I would love to. I mean, those are three that just jump right off the page. You know, I know there's been talk about, you know, Sega possibly being purchased by Microsoft. If I put it to you this way, I'm not sure. Again, folks, this is all speculation, but if that does happen, whenever it is, it could be 2:00 in the morning. I'm going to do a podcast, just talk about what I think, the possibilities of what Sega brings to the table if they become Microsoft first party. But that's, again, for another day. But I'm interested to see Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I'm very happy for Nintendo fans, because there are a lot of people that double dipped, that play their Switch on the go, that, you know, that have commutes, and because, you know, obviously right now xCloud isn't everywhere. It's you know, it's only for people with T-Mobile and in, you know, some regions. But it's pretty incredible that a game that came out in 2015 from a small unknown developer at the time has found a place and a home on the Nintendo Switch. I'm very happy for the studio, because more money means more games, you know, when they can invest in development. Anything else you'd like to add to this particular topic before we move on to the next one, my friend?
No, I mean, I think you've pretty much said it. And I also want to go as far to say is, you know, I think the Switch is in some ways, I know Microsoft, you know, published this game, and I know that we're talking about Microsoft, acquiring, this studio, but in some ways, this type of game is, it's almost like the Nintendo Switch is in some ways a better home for that type of game.
I would agree there. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Even Cuphead, you know what I mean? That just seems like a game where the Switch audience in some ways would appreciate it even more, you know, than the Xbox audience could. And I'm not saying that, you know, like the Xbox audience is not going to enjoy or did not enjoy Cuphead or enjoy Ori and the Blind Forest or anything like that. I'm just saying, just the type of audience that a Switch player is, just kind of appears to me like they would appreciate that, and it's almost like it kind of deserves to be on that platform just for that reason.
No, I absolutely agree. Absolutely. That's actually a great point. And you know what? I do think that they appreciate it, because, you know, when it comes to, you know, I mean, Nintendo in the past, they have had trouble getting games that weren't first party. That's not the case now. Everybody wants to be on a Switch because it's a seller. And that's why you see games like Cuphead getting over there. And of course, Ori recently. And it's probably, I don't know what the numbers are. I didn't actually pull up the numbers, but I'm sure that it sold well, because that audience does appreciate these smaller games that they could pick up and play on the go. And I think you're right. Ori does fit that mold perfectly. Before we get on to the next topic, though, I first of all have to welcome in Chaos Theory to the chat with the outstanding and very generous $2 super chat. He says, "Happy Halloween, Boom." And I say happy Halloween to you as well, my friend. Hopefully you're having a good day wherever you are. But, you know, in a story that I pulled from the pages of one of my favorite places to get info from, Gaming Bolt, they ran a very interesting and hashtag fun story that I thought would be really cool to discuss on today's episode, Zemi. Xbox Scarlet, 14 sequels we wish to see on Microsoft's next generation console. Now, for good reason. Microsoft has been the recipient of a lot of criticism in the last few years for its lackluster first-party output. But for the first time in many years, things are starting to look up on that front, thanks to a flurry of acquisitions by the Xbox Game Studios and a greater focus on providing more first-party content for Game Pass. The future for Microsoft's first-party studios is indeed bright there. The next generation certainly has the potential to play out way different than it did this particular one. And thanks to the leadership of Phil Spencer, I think it's going to do just that. Now, I'm going to go over Gaming Bolt's list. And then, of course, we will discuss what we would like to see make a comeback. And I will then turn that question around to the chat and see what games that they might want to see make a return for, obviously the Xbox Scarlet, which is releasing in holiday of 2020, only 12, 10, 12, 13 months away, whatever it is. Here's their list. Halo Wars 3. Okay, that's an easy one. Fable 4. Duh. Super easy. Sequel to Conker's Bad Fur Day. I would like to see that. Gear 6. That's an easy one. They have Hellblade 2 here, and I say nay because I mean, the game was great. I bought it on 2 different consoles, and I support Ninja Theory. But I want them to tell something different this time around. And I'm hoping I don't necessarily, I mean, I'll buy Hellblade, and I'm sure people will enjoy it. But I think I'd like to see them do something different, a new character, a new IP. State of Decay 3, that's an easy one. Forza Horizon 5, that's, of course, super easy. New Banjo-Kazooie, I jumped on board immediately. I jumped out of my skin when I saw that. Of course, I've been banging that drum. Perfect Dark reboot. Yes. Let's do that. Joanna Dark has a spot in this, in this day and age of gaming. Sea of Thieves 2. I don't know if they're going to call it a proper 2 or just going to keep coming out with DLC. Here's a really good one, Zemi. Project Gotham reboot. Yes. I would love to see a third car racer in there, and bringing back Project Gotham would be dope. Here's another one I jumped out of my skin for, Killer Instinct 2. My God, please, somebody over there, bring us a Killer Instinct 2. Forza Motorsport 8, which talked about, and they finish off with one that I agree 10 times over, Crackdown 4. Please, for the love of Jehovah, don't let this series die on 3. Now, look, to be completely honest, Zemi, the games that they have listed, a lot of them are kind of like no-brainers. Mm-hmm. And nothing really surprised me here but like the one title. And of course, that's the Project Gotham reboot. I would really, really love to see that name come back. But did you come up with any picks of your own that you'd like to see come back? Because if you did, I'll let you go first, and I'll come on the back end of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So I was a little unsure if we were just supposed to pick Xbox exclusive games or just like generally speaking, like old games that were on the Xbox back in the day that have not like seen the light of day in a very long time. So my list is a little bit, shambled. But like the first thing that I have on here is Fable for sure, because, I know that you already named it, but we really need another Fable game. Sid Meier's Pirates, which isn't necessarily an exclusive, but, I really, really need that game. I don't know if you ever played it back in the day on the Xbox original console or if you ever played it on PC, but that game was absolutely fantastic. And I would love to see I'd like to see that game be redone, if nothing else. I mean, Sid Meier's Pirates was just a huge, huge game I played so much of. This next one is Alpha Protocol, which is a spy RPG game.
I remember that. Yeah.
By Obsidian. And now Obsidian is owned by, Xbox. I mean, I would absolutely love to see that. I don't know. I don't think the game was reviewed that amazingly. I don't know how the critics really reacted to it, but I absolutely love that game. And, we don't really get a whole lot of spy games. And
we're still waiting on Splinter Cell. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but we'll see.
Absolutely. And then Rise 2. I'm actually shocked.
That's a good one, dude. Yes.
That was not put on Gaming Bolt's list. That was a huge oversight in my opinion. But if they do make a Rise 2, I really hope that they call it Rise Son of Gaul. Because I think that would just be awesome, playing as like a barbarian running around, slaughtering Romans. A little twist, or maybe Rise, Son of Sparta. because everybody's into the ancient Greece with Assassin's Creed Odyssey and everything. I think that'd be really, really cool. And then this, I had more than 3. This one's also kind of like out there. It's not really an exclusive, but I would absolutely love to see a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic redo or just brand new IP. I know that's kind of out of Xbox's control, but it is an old Xbox game, and we have not seen one in a
well. There's something to what you're saying, because as we know, EA has the exclusive Star Wars rights for the next couple of years.
Yes.
Right.
But Obsidian made Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, they certainly did. They made the second one. And I'm going to tell you this. I have a real feeling in my gut that EA is not going to be handling Star Wars only. That deal, unfortunately, they messed that deal up with. And I'm not saying all Battlefront 1 and 2 were horrendous, because they played good, they looked fantastic, sounds are great, but they weren't great games. I think that the way that Disney is doing things now is they're going to want to go back to the old days of letting other developers get a shot at their IPs. I don't think it's going to be exclusive. And who's to say that Obsidian doesn't come out with a new Knights of the Old Republic? Maybe the fabled Knights of the Old Republic 3 that they've been wanting to do for years. Mm-hmm. Who's to say? We don't know.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I really hope that this is awful, because I really should not be wishing this on a company, but it's EA, so it's okay, right? I really hope that Disney just rips that license away from them. I want that so badly. I hope that they just decide to publish the games themselves, create a publisher, in the Disney brand, and then just allow different companies to just make what to pitch them ideas and stuff. I really hope that happens, because what EA's done with Star Wars so far, I have not really been impressed.
It's an abomination.
However, I'm really excited about November 15th with Jedi Fallen Order. That does look like a slight glimmer of hope for any.
It does. Looks dope. Looks really good.
But yeah, so that was my whole list. So what was yours?
Okay, well, first of all, for my 3 picks, I went back to the OG Xbox days, where even though Xbox trailed the PlayStation 2, I thought had a ton of great original IPs. The 2 that come to mind, and games that I need a 2020 release, are Crimson Skies. That's another drum I have been banging. It's a flying title with an Indiana Jones-esque story, and some really amazing dogfights. Its multiplayer was awesome. It fits right into what makes Xbox, games different from the rest of the pack. A great single player with a remarkable multiplayer. It's a win-win for everyone. So my first pick is Crimson Skies. My second one, and another oldie but goodie for the OG Xbox, MechAssault. I would love to see that series come back in a big way. It saw 2 releases that offered both a strong multiplayer as well as an incredible and great single player campaign. And with the power of the Xbox Scarlet, there would be no limits to the limitations or of the imagination of whatever developer would do that. And for my third title, Zemi, I want to talk about a launch game for the Xbox 360 that is a rare classic that many in today's chat probably either never played or even heard of. Kameo Elements of Power. It was an action platformer that had Kameo, a strong female lead character that used the 10 elemental powers that let her transform into these creatures and use their varied abilities to solve combat-oriented puzzles to progress through the game's levels. It was gorgeous to look at, super colorful, a real graphical showpiece for the Xbox 360 when it was launched, and it would make a fantastic game for Rare to come back with. I know Rare doesn't do a lot of sequels, but I don't think it would disappoint, to be honest. So I want to throw this out to the chat. What do you guys want to see? What older games, Xbox games, you'd like to see come back? I probably can add another 10 to this list, but those are my 3. And I thought this was pretty cool. Though, like Project Gotham, someone in the chat wrote a kart racer. And I actually did a story. I did, again, some of these topics you make up because you have to have, sometimes you have to make these topics fun. How dope would it be? How hilarious, how out of character and from left field would it be to see a kart racer with all of the Xbox characters? I mean, listen, I'm sorry, folks. I understand that everybody wants to, that realism, that chainsawing people's heads off and stuff. They want those realistic graphics, that story-driven adult content, right? We all want that. But sometimes you just want to play a fun game. And a kart racer with all of the Microsoft first-party characters, man, that would Asobo could do that, even though that they're working on Flight Simulator, which if they don't pick them up because of Flight Simulator and they get picked up by someone else, boo for Microsoft. Pick up those people already.
I can imagine it already, like having like the Fable guy like riding a horse or like a big like cart with like 2 horses and just like, you know what I mean? Like that would it's perfect. Like that is a perfect idea because they have all of the IPs and it would be great if Asobo could do it. And even if they couldn't do it, Playground Games, Turn 10, I mean, they could possibly do it as a side project and they have a lot of experience with racing games as well.
They do. They absolutely do. And it would be, because when you think about it, like it could be 15 levels, right? And you can have levels running through Gears of War, Halo. You can even have a level on a racetrack from Forza Motorsport. You can have a Crackdown level. I mean, it's it's limitless what you could do with this game. And it would be so out of character. I mean, listen, Mario Kart sells like hotcakes. I mean, I understand it's Nintendo. I mean, Mario Kart is an established IP. It's one of their finest, in my opinion. But it would be. I mean, listen, just look at some of the other kart games. Diddy Kong Racing, that was a huge success for Nintendo. Crash Nitro, that sold like hotcakes. And it's just Crash Bandicoot. And I'm not trying to diss the character, but he's no Mario for sure, and he's certainly no Master Chief. So if you had Master Chief running around in a cart, oh my God, I know it sounds ridiculous, but isn't it hashtag fun? Isn't that what gaming is supposed to be? I would really, truly, truly love that. I don't know. I mean, listen, again, it's just being silly, but for me personally, one of the top picks besides Killer Instinct, which I will continue to say that I want a proper sequel to, Project Gotham Racing would be a great third racing title. I mean, I know it's a little similar to Motorsport, but not really. You know what I'm saying? I think it would be a great title to bring back. Again, I don't exactly know who owns the IP, but Microsoft could certainly buy that and get that done. But I don't know. I mean, listen, I want to go on to the next topic, and this is pretty interesting. We know when we talk about next generation, Zemi, we talk a lot about financials, not the company's financials, but people's personal financials. Now, gaming, as we all know, is an expensive hobby. And it's even more expensive for people like myself who try to support all 3 consoles. And that's where Game Pass for me comes in, because I didn't have to buy Gears Ultimate. I didn't have to buy Outer Worlds. And there's a lot of games I didn't pick up that I'm playing now that are in Game Pass. So it's a great advantage for someone like myself. But Microsoft has just recently revived the Xbox All Access program that launched earlier, and it now includes next generation upgrade options, and subscribers can upgrade to Project Scarlet in holiday 2020 day and date. And according to Polygon, is where I pulled the story from, Microsoft is bringing back its Xbox All Access plan, the monthly subscription that includes membership to Xbox Live Gold and, of course, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, as well as the Xbox One hardware. Will be you'll get all of that for a discounted monthly fee. And that's where this story really turns into something important, because next generation, listen, folks, first of all, just in games, if we only know partial of what's coming out in 2020, it's going to be a super expensive year. There's no doubt about it. But now you take all of those games and you tack on potentially multiple $500 consoles in the Xbox Scarlet and the PS5, not to mention the rumored possibility of a Switch Pro possibly coming out. And if it's a more beefier, powerful system, it's probably going to launch around $399. So it'd be that $400. So just imagine that. That's $1,400 in hardware, not counting all of the games you're going to be buying. So this program is fantastic. Now, this time around, though, however, Microsoft is giving subscribers the option to prep for the next generation console upgrade when the next Xbox, named Project Scarlet, launches in obviously 2020. The Xbox All Access originally launched in summer of 2018, and as part of that subscription for the Xbox One S, it was $21.99 a month for a 24-month subscription, which of course, again, it included Xbox Live Gold and Xbox Game Pass. Now for $35, which are $34.99, subscribers got an Xbox One X in addition to, of course, Live and Game Pass. There was no upfront cost, and at the end of the 24-month subscription, Zemi, subscribers kept their hardware, which is freaking really cool. Now, as we get more information on both the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Scarlet, it's looking more and more likely. And I'm sorry to tell you, folks, if you think that either of these systems, these monster consoles, basically PCs shoved into this plastic, are going to be anything short of $500, man, I want to live in your world, because it's not going to happen. I'm telling you that right now. I mean, listen, the revival of this outstanding pricing plan, Zemi, allows for every gamer not only to be excited about the next generation, but also be a part of the conversation. Allowing for an affordable way to pay for the Xbox Scarlet is not only ingenious, but incredibly forward-thinking. Now, what are your thoughts on this of them? Okay, now again, it's through Dell. So you have to get credit through Dell. I think it's called Dell Preferred. I think it is. And right now, I believe it was only available in the Microsoft stores, but there's been talk about it going to like Amazon and stuff. So which would be really cool.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is forward thinking from Microsoft to say that, hey, listen, it's going to be an expensive box, and we want to make the options available for everyone to be involved? What do you think about this?
I think it's a good idea. I think it's good for the consumers. Anytime that a consumer has another choice of how to buy a system or how to buy anything, it's a great thing in general. But I do have a few minor issues with it. Probably the biggest issue I have with it so far is kind of been the messaging that Xbox has put on their websites, and it's also the messaging that a lot of content creators and even IGN have been talking about this, covering the story with. Because if you went and watched the IGN video where they cover this, or even other content creators, not all content creators, but a lot of them, I've noticed that the theme is that a lot of these content creators are talking about it like it is a subscription, like it's a membership subscription. And it's not that. It is 100% financing your console by
it's like a phone. It's like the phone model.
Well, not really, because like with the phone model, you're completely 100% going with that company, if I'm not mistaken. Whereas this, it used to be Dell. Whenever they first launched this, whenever the Xbox One X was coming out, they had the all access thing, and Dell was the credit provider. But now the credit provider is actually Citizen One.
Okay.
which is like a part of Citizens Bank. So what you are virtually doing is, it's not like you're just going 100% through Xbox. You are legitimately using your credit to finance a $500 console, right? Which is great. And if you have good credit and you for some reason can't afford to drop out $500, it's great. there's no application fee. That's great. There's no annual percentage rate. That's great. There's no late fees. However, if you do have a late fee, they can report you to a credit union, and that will drop your credit score, of course.
Right.
So, it's not 100% like financing a phone, because if you're financing a phone, you're going mostly, if I'm not mistaken, you're going directly through Apple or not Apple, your cell phone provider. You're going straight through AT&T or straight through Sprint or straight through Verizon. There's not a third party financial institution that you're going through to get this console. And that's kind of one issue I have with it. And I think like a lot of people are thinking about this as if it's a subscription, and it's not that. If you don't have good credit, you cannot do this. If you, for some reason, forget a payment or something like that, your credit score is possibly going to be affected. So, it is a really good deal in the sense that the monthly payment that you're going to be paying is less money than the actual product that you're going to be receiving. And it's also a good thing in the sense that you're not going to be paying any fees, any interest rates or anything like that. It's a great, idea as far as actually taking out the line of credit to do it. But I think a lot of people are looking at this like it's just a subscription plan, and it's not that. It's literally taking out credit to buy a console. And another thing as well is, like I've been reading the terms of use and like the like the code. Anyway, I'm a nerd, but so the way that it currently works as well, if I'm not mistaken, is if you get the Xbox One X, and you can go, if you go through Xbox, you can go to Xbox's website, and currently the only retailer that is currently offering this on their site is Amazon. And they do say that more is coming soon. I'm sure you're going to be able to go to a Microsoft store and get the same exact thing done. But on Amazon, they have like a terms and use. And one really, really important thing is if you get the Xbox One X for $30 a month, from November 18th to December 31st, you will be able to upgrade to the Xbox Scarlett in 12 months. Now, if you get like the Xbox One S or the Xbox One S all digital, then you would have to wait 18 months. And if I'm not mistaken, you also have to pay like a $20 fee to upgrade to the Scarlett. And whenever you upgrade your console, let's say, you sign up for it, you pay 12 months, then, the Scarlett's about to come out, you upgrade to the Scarlett. Well, a lot of people are going to think, well, you're just going to have to pay 12 more months. And that's not the case. You are going to have to pay 24 more months because you're going to get, they're going to sign you up for like a new financial agreement. Right. So then at that point, you're not just doing, 24 months, you're doing 36 months to get that new console. And to upgrade to the new console, you have to trade in whatever, like the Xbox One X that you were paying for like the last 12 months. You have to ship in all the hardware. If the hardware is broken, if it's not all there, then you're going to be responsible. They're going to ship it back to you potentially, and you're going to be responsible for that hardware. You're going to have to pay off the rest of that hardware. And then if you wanted to get on another 24-month financial plan to get the new console. So it's really complicated, and it's not as simple as what a lot of content creators are going out there and saying. And it's not just like a regular subscription or membership or anything like that. It's
not a membership at all. I don't know why anyone would even consider. Why you'd even say that?
A lot of people are just like, they're not saying what it specifically is. Like, especially the IGN video, I was shocked that they're not actually saying what it is. Like
you're financing. It's a piece of hardware the same way you finance a car.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of things that can go wrong. You know what I mean? If you're, you
have to be a responsible person. I mean, listen.
Absolutely.
I mean, listen, I mean, what you're saying makes sense. And I'm actually really glad that you really went into the minutia of it, because I didn't read the fine print, because I'm going to be 50 next year, for crying out loud. So I think I'm an adult. So I kind of know what I'm getting myself into. I mean, I'm buying the console outright. I'm going to be putting money away. I think everyone should do that. And I really, really mean it. Yeah. People are going to laugh in the chat, but this holiday is right upon us, folks, right? Christmas will be here very soon. And saying that out loud gets me a little nervous because obviously we want to make sure that everyone gets their gifts. But with that said, okay, when you ask for gifts, ask for gift cards to your favorite place. Whether that be GameStop, for me it's GameStop, but for some people maybe Best Buy, wherever you buy your games, and put that in your underwear drawer and forget that you own it, man. Forget about that freaking money until you need to buy these things, because it's gonna, man, 2020 is shaping up to be the biggest year for games and hardware, but it's also shaping up to be the most expensive. Now, I don't mind. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get everything. I am getting both consoles: PlayStation 5 day and date, Xbox Scarlet day and date, and I might even upgrade into a Switch Pro if that does happen. We don't know. But thanks for getting
Can I jump in real quick?
Sure, come on in.
There are a few things in the chat. Others Inc. said you're a little wrong here. It's much better than what you're saying. Everything I've said so far is completely not wrong. I read the terms of use. I've been following, everything like that. I did my research. Now, with this being said, there is nothing wrong with the idea of what they're doing here. Once again, doing this ideally would be better than swiping it on a credit card, because you're going to be paying no interest. You're actually going to be saving money with how much you're going to be paying versus what you're getting out of it. The reason I was mentioning all of the things into detail like I was solely just to let everyone know that's watching this podcast that thought about this as an option. I want to, just kind of let everyone know the whole, the whole deal. It is a good option to go with if you can't afford to drop $400 or $500 on a console. There's, Microsoft is not scamming anyone or anything like that. I wish that they would have been a little bit more transparent, like on the front of their page, and with the messaging that they are doing, but there's nothing, schemy, dirty, or anything like that Xbox is doing.
No, it's just an option.
Absolutely.
Folks, options are great.
Absolutely. It's just an option, and it's a great option if it's for you. But the only reason why I brought all of this different stuff up is to inform you guys as consumers, so you guys are able to make a good, accurate buying decision.
Yeah, it's listen, folks. It's going to be a lot of ways to get this console. Collect cans, sell yourself on the corner, or do this deal. Whichever works for you. Just being a little facetious here, but listen, it's going to be an expensive year, and this is Microsoft's way. And something else I think both of us failed to mention. I said it, but we didn't elaborate too much on it. When you are getting this console, right? You're getting this monthly, whatever it is, probably going to be $34, maybe $40 per month. But you're getting 2 years of Xbox Game Pass that includes Ultimate and Live. So you're not buying anything. There's nothing for you to spend. You don't have to spend $1 on any games if you choose not to, because you're going to have all first-party games going in there. Now, is that going to happen? No, of course not. It's going to happen. You're going to go buy Madden. You're going to go buy the new Call of Duty. You're going to go buy, Cyberpunk 2077, right? You're gonna buy all these games, but if you choose not to, you could logistically get away for 2 years only playing first-party stuff on that console, and you have Live and Ultimate Game Pass included in the newest hardware for the low monthly price of $40. That's not a bad deal, Zemi.
No, it's not. No, it is a really, really solid deal whenever you look at it like that. But there are a few things that may not be completely perfect for certain individuals. But as far as the actual deal goes with what you're getting, 24 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, that is a huge, huge value. Especially whenever you work out the numbers. It's $15 per month for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and that comes with Xbox Live, access to 200 plus games. It's an incredible value.
That's $180 per year. That's $360.
Yes, huge value
for tremendous value, ridiculous value. Yeah. So listen, we can't. We've basically said everything we have to say about this program. Not the lead dog in this show, but I got to tell you, we're closing in on the 2-hour mark, and folks, this has been great. This has been another powerful Xbox Factor podcast. We had almost 160 plus people watching live, which is amazing. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I really appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week. It's something I really enjoy doing. Obviously, the Xbox brand for both me, Zemi, and of course, the Welsh Gamer is our console of choice. A lot of people in the chat. Of course, I have to thank Lethal Papa, locking it down, keeping the trolls away, making sure they don't cross that bridge. Thank you so much, Lethal, for being here, always being awesome. And a few of the other people I have in here who I did not see that I didn't see Salty. He's a moderator as well. If he's with, I missed him. Gotham Guy, what's up, dude? Welcome. Thanks for being here, dude. Really appreciate that. I'm gonna add some more moderators that are people that I trust. I'll be reaching out to you guys in a DM privately by the end of the day because I want to add some more moderators because it's good when you have them in there. Of course, I want to thank the outstanding and ridiculous people were so generous today with their super chats. Oh, speaking of which, Atrocity Nights, dude, thank you. I'm sorry I didn't say hello. I missed you in the chat. Thank you. First of all, he drops a $2 super chat, Zemi. He says, enjoy your day with the wife. See you next week. Yes, thank you. I'm glad you mentioned that because I would have forgotten. Tomorrow, there is not going to be a live Breakfast with Boom because it is Mrs. Boomstick's birthday. So we actually will be having breakfast together and going out and doing some shopping, maybe catch a movie or something. So we'll be back next week. And I appreciate everybody's understanding on that. Of course, Zemi, listen, dude, I appreciate you being here, but more so that you are a part of this show each and every week. That is a big deal for me. I love having you on the show. Of course, we missed you on Breakfast with Boom, but for personal reasons and for your love of Xbox, this is a better fit for you personally. Tell everywhere where they can check out you on Twitter, which of course this guy needs more followers, folks. Get out there and follow Zemi Games. Also, check out your outstanding YouTube channel that has crossed 13,000 subscribers. That's a big deal. Why don't you take it away, Zemi?
Thank you so much, Boom, and I hope you and your wife have a fantastic tomorrow. Hope you guys. You said it was her birthday, right?
Yeah, yes, tomorrow's her birthday.
Definitely wish her a happy birthday from me.
I certainly will. Thank you.
Thank you so much for allowing me to come onto this show and switch up from Breakfast with Boom. That was a fantastic show. Loved all the conversations that we had on that. But Xbox is more of my jam. So thank you once again. If you guys want to, you guys can check me out on Twitter at Ambassador Zemi. You can also subscribe to me on YouTube. If you enjoyed what I said today on this podcast, you'll probably enjoy the content that I do over there. I do Xbox tutorials, gaming news, game reviews, all sorts of gaming content. So definitely subscribe to me over there on that YouTube channel if you guys are interested. As always, thank you so much, Boom.
Well, listen, again, it's certainly great to have you here. And of course, this has been an amazing show. Real quick, though, I wanted to, normally in the beginning of the show, I give, shout outs to my Patreon members and the channel members. I'm going to do the channel members today on the closing show because there's a lot of them. And if you're not sure, we do offer channel membership, which is $5 a month. And you can just click the join button. I had Jay Dubs, who is in the chat, also known as AKA the Graphic God, design some emojis for me. And you can check those out before joining, see which ones I have. I have some new ones that I'm working on currently. And I would like to thank Matt Burns, Philly Eagle, Lethal Papa, Massholes 1977, Aiden Williams, Jay Zayas, JD Gamer, Infinite AA, Scrub Nurse, Moonwalker 925, Josette Rivera, of course, which is Mrs. Boomstick, J Force Gaming, Tempest Sun, Gamer by Choice, and Thanaros. Thank you guys for being channel members. Oh, and another super chat comes in. Deadly Chaos 75 with the very generous $5 super chat. Just in time, I'll be listening to the show as I work out. Happy birthday to Mrs. Boomstick. First of all, thank you for the birthday wishes. Thank you for listening to the show. And of course, the outstanding generosity. Yeah, I do that all the time. It's funny. I message Dealer every Wednesday morning and said, I'm on the rowing machine right now, Dealer, listening. Great show. That or the elliptical. But yeah, so thanks for everyone being here. Real quick, a small piece of programming information I think that everyone is going to like. Primetime Gaming, of course, is coming up this Monday, and we have one of the biggest voices you've ever heard as a special guest. That's right, Mooch, The Mooch from MNC Mornings and from Crossfire will be gracing the presence of our panel on Primetime Gaming this Monday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope everyone could tune in. We broke records last week. It was incredible. We had Randall Thor on, and not only did we have almost 300 people watching live, which is bananas to me. I really cannot even believe that. But we got to 1,000 views in under an hour, which is crazy. And currently, it is the most viewed show I have ever done on YouTube. We're closing in on 2,200 views. Holy shit. Just saying that has me getting goosebumps. I want to thank the community for that. My goodness, it has been one heck of a ride. And it seems I might have just turned a corner with this channel. And that's thanks to you guys and gals in the chat listening to what I have to do. Thank you so much. But anyway, we'll get everybody out of here. Please have a great Halloween with your family and friends. Be safe. And I'm going to say this, even though it's very po-po-like, don't drink and drive. Get an Uber, because I know people like to go out and party. Man, don't do it, folks. I'm telling you, don't drink and drive. You don't want to lose your car. And more importantly, you don't want to kill someone or someone else. And I'll just close out today's show with two things that my pop always told me when we were kids. Number one, it doesn't cost anything to be nice, and more importantly, treat people how you would like to be treated. And I guarantee you're going to have a good day. Take care, everyone. Have a great and safe Halloween, and we'll see you back next Thursday on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. Take care, everyone.